Hey everyone, welcome. We'll just get started in a minute or two as people continue to join. But while we wait, feel free to open up the chat window, guys. Hey Ilya, hey Daniel, hey Vikas, hey Anke. So yeah, I was just saying, while we wait, feel free to open the chat window. You can see it's towards the right-hand side of your screen. And let's just break the ice a little. Tell me where you guys are joining us from today. I see that we got a global audience. Just drop in chat where you guys are joining us today.
We can do the very British thing and talk about the weather then.
That's what we were just doing right now. So
I was moaning about the rain.
Hey, great to see you. We've got people here from Prague. Awesome. Hey, Daniel. Greenville, South Carolina. Very nice. It must be early in the morning over there. We'll just wait for a couple more minutes before we get started. Hey, Anke. Hey, Vikas. Nice to meet you guys. Nice to meet you. So while we're talking, I'll just wait for like a minute or so. And in the meanwhile, why don't you drop in the chat what you guys are hoping to get out of today's session? So what essentially is it that you are hoping to get out of the session, whether it's speeding up your document processing or reducing manual work, or perhaps just seeing how our AI works? We'd love to know. So yeah, please drop that in the chat. For the people just joining, just wanted to say hello to everyone. We're just waiting for a couple of more people to join before we get started. If you just joined, you can open the chat window. It's towards the right-hand side of your screen. And just tell me where you guys are coming from. And then we'll just get started in about a minute or so. All right. So I see a couple of people have already joined us, so let's begin. Hey, everyone who's just joining in, just tuning in. Let me just quickly introduce myself. I am Sudesh, and I am from the growth team here at Astera. And I am super thrilled to have you guys join us today. All right, so before we begin, allow me to quickly introduce Astera as well. We're headquartered in California, and we've been helping mortgage lenders and financial institutes streamline data and document processing for more than 15 years now. Started off in 2009, and we've worked with some of the world's leading lending firms, including, let's say, Wells Fargo, the mortgage division, Bank of America's mortgage division, the Sienna Corporation, just to name a few. So long story short, essentially, we've built solutions that take the friction out of working with documents. And today, we are bringing that experience and expertise to you. So what we'll do today is we'll just show you how to reduce the time and stress of mortgage document processing, while also showing you how to ensure compliance. All right, so before we dive in, I just want to introduce today's speakers. So we have with us today Kelly McCabe. She is the managing director at TMP, the mortgage people. And she has over 20 years of mortgage experience under her belt. Now, Kelly here, she'll be sharing her real-world experience and perspective from inside the industry. And then we have Aisha, Astera's AI product architect and our mortgage document processing expert. She also has over half a decade of experience with unstructured data management. Say hi, Kelly. Say hi, Aisha.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so here's a plan for today. What we'll do is we'll start off with Kelly's insights into the challenges the firms face day to day. And then Aisha will come in and walk us through the solution side of things. So the problem, the solutions, and then we'll show you a live demo as well. And finally, what we'll do is we'll wrap up with a Q&A session and a closing giveaway. Now, before I hand things over to Kelly, here's a little thank you for being with us today. So what we're doing today is we're giving away a £100 Amazon gift card at the end of today's session. Now, all you guys need to do is just scan the QR code on your screen and fill out a quick survey. It takes less than 60 seconds to do, and you'll be entered into a draw to win a £100 gift card. We'll announce the winner live at the end. I'll wait for you to fill out the survey before we start. I'm also dropping the link in the chat. If anyone cannot scan the QR code, they can use the link from the chat. All right, so while we wait for people to fill the survey, please feel free to drop in your questions anytime you like. Chat window is right there. Just drop in your questions, whatever, and we will definitely go over all of them at the end. All right, everyone. With that, let's get into the heart of today's session. Now, instead of me just talking about all the problems and all the solutions and everything, I actually want to bring in Kelly, someone who's actually lived these issues. So please welcome Kelly McCabe, Managing Director of TMP, the Mortgage People. Kelly and her team processes thousands of documents, applications every month, and she's here to share what it actually looks like in the real world. Kelly, to start us off, can you paint us a picture of what the mortgage document processing looks like for your team? What was it like before automation? What was the toughest part?
Sure. Thank you so much. I suppose to start from the kind of the first position is that it's not just the processing of the documents, it's the number of documents, it's the complexity of the documents. The mortgage industry in the UK is a complex being. We have a lot that we have to, a lot of documentation that we have to collate, that we have to check. It's very fast moving and it's regulated. So accuracy for us is of the kind of paramount importance within the process. As a firm, we're very, very admin heavy. And I know that, I don't know what it's like in other countries, but certainly in the UK, it's unusual to have more than one-to-one admin support. But in our business, we had to have almost two heads to one for admin support because of the amount of documentation that we have to collect. Now, we're shared ownership specialists in the UK, which adds another layer of complexity in because there's more documentation we have to collect and we have to do that for more people. So for us, the most important things are accuracy and speed. And as a business, we were quick, in inverted commas, and we were accurate, but to a point. There was only so much we could do. And it had got us to a point where the pressure of getting all of the documentation done in a reasonable time frame, being as accurate as possible, was starting to put a strain on the humans in the business, you know. And our team's important to us. Our team is everything that we are as a business. And if we've got an unhappy team or a stressed out team or a pressured team, then, you know, it doesn't just make people unhappy in their roles. It also then starts to show in the work. So the last thing we want to be is a compliance risk. As I say, we're a regulated business, and the work that we do it's incredibly important for us to get things right. So the problems we were facing were bottlenecks, essentially. The document process, being as complex as it is, we never seemed to catch a break. We never seemed to get to that point where we could get everything through and keep everything moving at the same speed. That bottleneck was very much around the document process. And the main thing wasn't just the documents. Checking the documents is one thing, but it was the cross-referencing of the documents and missing documents. Because it turns out that it doesn't matter how well you structure a request to a customer, you're going to struggle to get the majority of customers to give you everything right first time. So actually our biggest delay was not in the checking of the documents, it was in checking what was missing, requesting the next set of documents, and then that job, the next time those documents came in, to recheck the documents again against the new documents that had come in to ensure nothing else had come up. So we were a team in that department. There was roughly 26 people in that team, and 70% of their day was being spent on checking documents. Now, that team is not ultimately responsible for the signing off of the documents. That goes to an entirely other team. So this was simply the admin job to get the documents in a complete pack, in a position, in a format to be able to pass over to the team that does the final checks. So we were constantly under pressure, and every time the government changed something to do with housing, there'd be a kind of a rush, and that would put pressure on our team again. And it was just a constant cycle. We just couldn't seem to catch ourselves up. And my concern was always that our quality would suffer at a time when we were experiencing kind of high volume of documents coming through. So we needed to look at a solution. We needed something that removed the stress, removed those bottlenecks, and returned us to, in essence, what we're about. Now, as a business, we have really strong values in not being an automated business. We're not a computer-fronted business. And my vision was always that any automation, any tech, anything that we do like that doesn't replace humans, but it enhances the job that our humans can do. And so our team, it was always important to me that they spent most of their days talking to our customers. But when you have a team of 26 and 70% of their day is spent with their head in documents, it was really difficult to continue that really good customer service that we've been building our reputation for over years. And so we needed a solution that allowed us to bring our head back up out of the paperwork, and to give us the opportunity to focus on our customers more, make more from our customers. You know, we were not just an admin function. We are mortgage brokers, and that's what we wanted our customers to see, is our advice and our support. And we talk about hand-holding, and it's not very hand-holding when you're not talking to your customers because you're too busy looking through documents and trying to work out where things are. So we were caught in a bit of a catch-22. Do we go and recruit more people again and increase our admin costs, or do we look for a solution? One of the options was to look for some of the off-the-shelf solutions that are already in our kind of mortgage market at the moment. And for us, they weren't enough. We know that looking for a solution that matches our process entirely just simply wasn't going to work, because it's nuanced and every customer is different. And we needed something a bit more intelligent than it just checking for payslips and bank statements. We needed a kind of whole solution that would go further, do more, and present a finished package to our team to say, here's the things that we've noticed you need to look at, but here's a complete set of documents. So we started to look for that, and the things it needed to solve was that the time that we were spending on the bit that wasn't earning us any money. The admin part is really important, but equally it's a real time burden, and it's a real kind of financial pressure on us to constantly have this much admin. So we needed to speed up our application process. We needed to bring our teams back into a place where they weren't kind of, really stretched. And I think kind of as important as the rest is to make sure that we were comfortable that we were compliant, because compliance is the thing that can end businesses if you're cutting corners or missing things. And I know none of the team would consciously want to cut a corner. But I equally know that when you're doing something over and over and over and over and over, it's easy to miss things. Yeah. So yeah, we were
mistakes happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also know that nothing is perfect, but I think for me, every time we can trim an area where a mistake can be made, if we end up with a really thin line of where those mistakes can happen, it makes me sleep better at night. So that was us a few months ago, and we're a little bit different to some other businesses in certainly in my sector, is that we have our own CRM that we've kind of built. It's we use Zoho, and we've created a very bespoke version of it. Does all the bits that we need. And so we needed to find a solution that meant we didn't have to change everything that we already were, because if we tried to unpick everything that we already had, it would have been a nightmare. So it was a bolt-on solution that fitted and didn't change anything, but just enhanced it. So, yeah.
Thank you, Kelly. That actually really helps paint the picture from the industry side. And actually, I also had a chance to speak with a few lenders and brokers and other industry professionals. And what we also saw was that exactly everything that you say is true. And it's not only a time constraint. It doesn't only just drain hours. What ends up happening is it compounds risk, which you talked about, these compliance issues and mistakes that happen. It compounds risks, and firms don't often realize how much it cuts into both accuracy and client confidence.
Absolutely. And for us, one part of our job is that we're collecting documents on behalf of other businesses. And if we're presenting things that are inaccurate, that are incomplete, that they pick them up and say, what about this? It's not good for us. And we need that accuracy. We need that compliance to be absolutely on point. And I think that, being completely transparent, I was really concerned at the outset that we wouldn't be able to trust the outputs that we were given. Because I think we're so used to we're control freaks, we were like, well, but we've got to look at it because we're a human and we know better. And we do know better, but we're inconsistent as human beings. Whereas what we needed was something that was consistently giving us a clean output to say, look here. And to really reduce down our risk and to really give us that almost concise view of a huge, I know the team at Astera will know better than I will actually the number of documents that we actually have per customer, but it's hundreds into thousands. It isn't just one or two, there are so many documents that we have to collect. And, each payslip is another document, each bank statement, each page is another. The credit reports, it is a vast amount of paperwork. I'm so grateful we don't have to print these files out anymore because they were huge filing cabinets back in the day. But there is a huge amount that we have to look at, and the idea that we're able to do that in a lower risk environment is always what we were looking for. That's
awesome. Aisha, what are your thoughts about what Kelly?
Yeah, there's also I would actually appreciate Kelly and her team on this as well, right? There's mortgage processing being as comprehensive and I would say as vast as it is, depending on how much documentation that there is so much cross-referencing, and it's a sensitive area, right? As Kelly mentioned, there's a compliance risk, there is the inaccuracy, the data accuracy, data inaccuracy risk. So all of those combined, I would say it is also like Kelly's, I would appreciate her team to have that leap of faith and actually try and go look for a solution like this, because a lot of the times we of course reach out to prospects that we think we can help out, but unless in industries like mortgage, unless they are willing to take that first step, it gets a bit difficult and tricky even for us. And I mean, even in what I've prepared for the demonstration, even with that, I have taken, I think, like 25% of what the process that we have implemented for the TMP's processes, and even that itself was massive. Just processing those few documents, getting files around, making sure that the validation checks are in place, the validation checks for each document, but also the cross-referencing, the cross-validation checks, the business rules, the quality control aspect of it, and then creating a unified view so that you can monitor and track every application, as well as your business growth. That isn't exactly an easy task to do, but at the same time, as I said, the people working in the industry have to take the first step towards adopting the technology. Yeah,
I totally agree, and certainly the mortgage industry in the UK has been a little bit backwards in coming forwards. I think that there's a lot of tech out there that we could have adopted, and it doesn't seem to kind of land as quickly in our sector, which is a shame. But I think things like this are just so important, because if we're gonna keep up with what our customers expect, you should expect as good a service from your mortgage broker as you should from your supermarket or your anybody that you engage with in a service, I suppose. And I think that our customers expect this now, and it happened really quickly. Customers expect there to be AI within the process to streamline things.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. And I guess that sets a good premise for us to jump into the actual solution, right? And so as we've been discussing, when it comes to mortgage document processing, you get a lot of, and this is just like as I said, small subset of the documents that anyone would be uploading, or an applicant would be uploading when they're applying for different kinds of loans in the mortgage industry. Then the idea behind, and there's always a level of complexity here, because not only are these different types of documents within a specific type, there could be different variations as well. So for example, someone let's take an example of bank statements, right? People would have accounts in different banks. Each bank statement differs from one in terms of layout, in terms of the structure, even in terms of format at times. Some comes in PDF, and we have had bank statements that are coming in HTML format. Then same goes for the payslips. People working in different companies, different firms would have very different payslips in terms of layout, in terms of format, and some could be scanned. So we've even seen people uploading pictures of their payslips and pictures of their ID cards, and then uploading that to, sometimes there's always an orientation issue, there's always a data quality issue, the image quality issue. So all these aspects combined pushes us towards a platform that is able to handle this, of course, in runtime, in real time. There are always going to be scenarios which the machine will flag for a human review, for a human in the loop review, especially in cases where we're unsure whether this image quality or whatever we are extracting from it is even good enough to pass on to the next stage. So those are the cases where these business validation rules really come into place. So essentially, what really forms the crux of the process, there are three aspects of it. The first start is the intelligent OCR processing. Now there's a mix, I would say, of OCR and AI, as well as traditional data reading, or or trained model, basically, right? So there's a whole mixture of that, because a single OCR solution to to a customer or to a user, to them it's just a single process, because all they're doing is just uploading their files and they're getting the output. But behind the scenes, there is a whole logic that makes sure that this document, depending on the quality, depending on the type, it goes to its specialized OCR, or it goes to a specialized text converter, or it goes to a specific AI or LLM model, or a trained model, and so on and so forth. So essentially, that's where the intelligent OCR process comes into play, which reads the text off of the documents. Then the next part is the extraction. Of course, you read the text. Now you would like to extract very specific information off of different document types. So as I said, all of these documents, one thing that I missed out was the classification. So again, it's also very important that once the documents are uploaded, we also classify them into their own categories, so they can go to their respective models. Now, these models have been trained on so many mortgage documents already that you don't actually need any new training. It does take some time to kind of tweak the business rules, tweak and understand the incoming edge cases for any new process. But apart from that, I guess most of the process is pretty smooth sailing in general, right? And then we move to, as I said, the business rules validation. I think this forms this. I would make this as a center point of the entire process, not the intelligent extraction, not the OCR, but the business rule validation, because it's a combination of the rules that we get from our customers, in this case, for example, from TMP, from Kelly's team, and as well as the validations that we have to put in for each and every document, that we think that these validations or these quality checks would help us detect multiple avenues of data quality, which includes, whether it's the required information is there, whether the OCR is doing a good job, whether the AI is doing a good job, whether it's a fraudulent transaction, right? And wherever we feel like something is off or something is iffy, we usually flag it for a human review. And then another aspect, I guess, when you talk about processes, not just mortgage process, I would say any document processes, another aspect is the connectivity, right? The connectivity to various sources, various platforms, and those platforms could be your ERP systems, your CRM systems. So like Kelly mentioned that her team is using Zoho. There are other teams that uses Salesforce. There are teams that uses Airtable. There are teams that uses SAP, NetSuite, QuickBooks, you name it, right? And there are also teams that simply receive the attachments via email, right, as an email attachment. So all of that paints a picture, or you would need a platform that is actually able to handle and manage all of that aspect. So I guess with that, there's another aspect. Again, it all comes down to the integration. But if we have native connectivity, but if your platform, if you have a specific platform, inbuilt in-house platform, as long as we have the APIs around it, we are able to connect to it very easily. So any implementing connection to any new platform is like at times even a day's work for us. All right. So awesome. Let me share my screen and let me know.
So while Aisha gets ready for her demo screen, I'll just remind everyone to please feel free to drop your questions in the chat at any time. We'll pick them up during the Q&A session later. And don't forget to fill out the quick survey for your chance at this £100 gift card.
All right. Okay. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
So essentially, I've just, as I said, I've taken a very small portion, like just 25% of an actual end-to-end mortgage document processing. But in this simple example, all we're doing is just we're reading these different documents from an email. So, an applicant has attached different documents that they would need for a mortgage application. In this case, our applicant names is James Alexander, and they have this ID, bank statements, and multiple bank statements, in fact, mortgage application payslips. To me, it looks like an incomplete document set when you're applying. Of course, there would be other documents that we're expecting, but that's the idea. So let's start by unreading this. Okay. And okay, so this is a web client of a platform that we already have. So our platform traditionally has been an on-prem platform. Astera is an on-prem platform. There are a lot of demonstration videos that you will find online for Astera document processing, intelligent document processing ecosystem. And that ecosystem itself has a very solid base. It's a very solid foundation. It is actually able to do, and we will later on discuss this as well, that no matter what kind of complexity your platform would have, it is able to deal with that. So essentially but then there is an aspect of visibility, ease of use, and that is where this platform DocSpire, which is based on top of Astera's technology and Astera's powerful servers, is based off of. So you were at a home screen. Right now we're at a home screen, and I've already sent the email, so I'm expecting that it should have started reading. Let's just review it a bit. Okay, so it started off with reading data from a bank statement. All right. Let's just wait a bit. Okay. So far, what essentially you will see is that it will continue processing different, like whatever stages that it has, and all of this information is something that traditionally we used to store in our on-prem system, which is inside an entire monitor, a job monitor. Now that is a good platform or a good view when you would like to delve into exactly the technical aspects of the process. But from a standpoint of, I guess, from a mortgage engine, from a loan officer perspective, they need to look at the documents. They need to track the documents that are being processed, that are being reviewed, or that are being continuously fed by different applicants, right? So that's exactly what document tracking is supposed to do. And then if we move to, for example, the document queue part, let's wait a bit. So all the documents that were sent by this particular applicant, or were shared by the via the email of this applicant, they are here. They were being processed, and we can see that one is in a pending review state. Okay, this was a previous one. Okay, so this was a sample statement that I was uploading previously, and this was in a review state. But essentially what you're able to do here as well is that you're able to see whatever statement that came up, and any information that you would like to change because it had a low confidence score, or you would like to download it. You would like to even change the format of it. This is not the format that you want. You would want another format. Then you can change that, and you can easily download it. But essentially the idea behind the process is the backend functionality of it, right? And we'll see a bit into that, to what is actually happening behind the scenes, right? Then there are some integrations here. Again, the web client, or the web client is something that that will be available starting October. And the idea is that it is there for the ease of use, for the ease of use of anyone that's coming in and wants to quickly set up their mortgage processes. Because behind the scenes, or behind when we worked with Kelly's team, for example, we went over a lot of different back and forth technical requirements. And those technical requirements included how many number of documents that we'll receive, different document types, quality checks of each and every document. And then we realized, when we spoke to other mortgage processing firms, like for example Carrington in US, we realized that there are a lot of similarities that are there. In of course there are slight differences as well, but most of all there are a lot of similarities between the processes. And so when we've already built a process for a mortgage firm, we can take that process, or that as a template, and then essentially make changes to it, use it as a template. And then depending on what new changes there are for any new firm, for any new mortgage firm. So for example, maybe the change could be that Kelly's firm is using Zoho as their CRM, someone else is using Salesforce. That's a change that we can make. In Kelly's case, or in the TMP case, we are one of the business rules is that we're checking whether the last 3 months bank statements are complete. Maybe in your case that's last 6 months bank statements. right? So these are small changes that we've observed, not just with working with multiple mortgage firms, but also talking to people who have been in the mortgage industry for quite a long time. And so we realized that we already have a solution, a starting solution. And so essentially that can help us provide the same kind of services to other mortgage firms around the globe as well. But yeah, essentially that's the idea, and this is how we have been processing so far. And if we can also quickly take a look at what happens behind the scenes. Okay, so behind the scene, this is a process. Again, this is a very, very simplified version of what we've built for Kelly's team. But again, I said this could be a starting point for a lot of different mortgage firms, and so anyone coming in can would know that, hey, so we already have a starting point. We do not have to wait for months and months to just get the processes set up. So I guess that's about it for the demonstration of the new platform, the web that's coming in October, and of course our traditional technology that has been around for almost I think 12 years now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can
Awesome.
move on to discuss the Kelly's experience, the results, and that part of the
Yes,
demonstration.
absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Aisha, though. That was a fantastic walkthrough. And I just want to chip in here and just say that what really excites me is that automation that you showed just does not save time. It actually changes the way teams operate. And like I said, I talked to a lot of customers, a lot of people, and that's what they tell me, that instead of chasing documents, with this, people can actually focus on higher value tasks rather than just like document processing grunt work. Essentially, they can focus on high value tasks that actually move the needle. So moving on, I would like everyone to start dropping their questions into the chat. We're approaching at the end. But what I want to really do quickly here is, before we go to the questions, I want to come back to Kelly. And I want to ask Kelly that what kind of results did you get? Did you actually see after your team implemented this workflow? Something that Aisha just showed right now. So what was your experience with this, Kelly? Over to you.
So I suppose the first thing to mention is that the team at Astera said yes to everything that we asked. And we really didn't think that was going to be the case, and we would kind of come in with a complex, well, we need this to look at this, and then here and here and here, and every turn we were met with, yeah, we can do that. And I know, as you mentioned, Aisha, that was a really simple looking process. I've seen the TMP processes and they are mind-blowingly complex, but they work, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. Part of the rollout of this that was important was to get the team on board. One of the things that we did, and I know that this is widely known, is that we actually named our system. We called ours Morty, short for mortgage. Anyway, by giving the system an identity and introducing it to the team, it helped with that change, because we were able to really say, well, that's going to be Morty's role from now on, and Morty's going to be doing that, and Morty's going to give that to you, and that's so. Rolling it out has been it's been absolutely game changing for us. We've restructured our entire business off the back of it. We've been able to move more people away from the admin team and into kind of fee earning roles, which has been amazing for us. Our service standards have gone up and continue to go up, because this is the thing with the system that we're only just getting to grips with, is that it learns. And so some of the language it uses, some of the requests that it's making are just so much better. And we're kind of honing things and kind of trimming bits down, but it has genuinely changed everything. I mean, it says their review time cut from 90 minutes to under 5. I would go further to say it was probably more than 90 minutes. And that 5 minutes now it's not the full picture, though. And I think this is the thing. Time is one thing. Time is incredibly important, but it's the rich output that we get, that I genuinely don't think that we saw everything that Morty sees. And it's so incredibly important that we're getting a completed set of documents that has flags on it, to say, hey, look here, I've cross-referenced this with this doesn't look right. That's not right. And this isn't all about fraud. This is just sometimes about things we need to know. One of the challenges we gave the Astera team was gambling transactions. Now, there's nothing wrong with gambling, but if you have a problem with gambling, it's something that we need to know. And so that was one that it was, you know, we sat in our offices going, there's no way they're going to be able to do that for us. And we kind of tentatively said, could you help us? And you nailed it. It's perfect. Because now what we get is those bank statements where we used to have a human going through line by line, sometimes Googling the name of these companies to say, is this gambling? Is it not? We now have an output that says we've got gambling transactions on here and they're above what you would deem as normal. That is, you know, that's worth everything to us to have that insight. And it's never going to replace the human overseer. You know, we do just have one human now that goes, okay, I've got a completed pack of documents. I'm going to check these. We still look at them because we're still not wholly comfortable yet that we can do away with the human side of it, and nor should we be yet. You know, I think that this is still a very human task. But the speed at which we're able to get documentation in and turn around and back out again is phenomenal. The other thing that we've learned is human behavior is a curious thing. Where we were previously getting documents sent into us, and if we were, you know, in a backlog, it could sometimes take us 24 hours to pick those documents up. When we then checked them and needed further documents, it would take those customers sometimes another day or two to get them to us. But because of the speed of Morty, what we're able to do is that customer really quickly gets an email back to say, we've got your documents, but we still need these. And we're seeing the behavior that customers re-engage really quickly. And so we're cutting timeframes that we didn't even know would be cut. So we're never going to solve humans, unfortunately. We do try, but it turns out that they don't listen. They don't upload the documents that you ask them for. They do put photos of their dogs in place of bank statements. We see lots of them. But what we can do is really streamline that process when they get to us and make it feel like an intuitive process. The team have now royally adopted Morty, and if I was to say Morty's been fired, they would probably all leave. So no, it's been a success, and we've learned a lot from it. But I now couldn't imagine going back to life before Morty, because that's just a dark, boring time.
We have learned, I guess, our team itself has learned a lot from your team. Definitely. I mean, we had, I feel like the understanding we had of the mortgage document processing, there was a significant improvement as well as the sophistication of the process we got after we worked with your team. And once we worked with your team, then we later on, when we worked with a couple of other mortgage houses like Carrington, for example, we used that learning and applied it there. And hence now the time that it took us with your team, we were able to like short that down by almost like 60% with the next mortgage processing on board customer, right? And that is going to continue on. And so by the time we are at the 5th and the 6th, it's going to be a matter of days, in fact, in which they can just get their entire process up and running, irrespective of how much complexity their process would have. Because every time they'll ask us something, we'll be like, oh, we've already done that for TMP. Oh, we've already done that for Carrington. We know how this works. We'll just pull out that exact flow and put it in their system. So yeah, I guess the learning definitely goes both ways here.
Honestly, in my opinion, feels like a game changer. So, especially in financial services, speed is not just about efficiency, right? It's not about how fast you can perform operations. It's about the client experience, and that's exactly what Kelly highlighted over here. And anyone who got confused by what Morty is, it's what the TMP team calls Astera's product. They call us Morty, just to humanize this entire thing. So this is just for anyone who got confused about what Morty is. Amazing. All right, so I see that we're kind of coming up on time, and I see there's a bunch of questions in the chat. I will just quickly go over these questions, guys, Kelly, Aisha, and I'll read them to each of you. I see Harley Mellon here is asking about some integrations. Aisha, I think you can take this one. Harley here is asking what type of integrations are available other than the ones mentioned in the presentation. I'm sorry, Aisha, we cannot hear you.
Yeah. So there's of course databases. There is like your legacy systems, and again, most of the applications today, they can be easily connected to API. So again, if your system can be connected to that, sure. Cloud storages is another example. FTP connections. Yeah, I guess. I'm pretty sure we have like an entire list of about 70, 80 native connections, but apart from that, we are also able to very quickly set up any new connection because of the framework that we have. So that I don't think any new connection that's coming in, it would be a problem. We recently worked with a customer who had a platform called Odo, and I was hearing it for the first time, and I just quickly did a Google search. Apparently it had an API available, and so I just picked that up, and it was a matter of 2 hours in which we were able to connect to their systems. So yeah.
Very nice. And there's someone who's actually sending me a question in the private chat, and I think this one is for you, Kelly. And this person is asking, what role does compliance actually play in how firms handle documents? They're asking about the FCA, the customer duty, and the GDPR rules. And they're asking, well, how big a role these compliance frameworks play in how firms handle documents?
Really high. We have really strict framework that we have to work within. We have really strict rules that we have to adhere to. And that was before we had any further conversations. It was one of the first things that we put to Astera was that, is this going to be GDPR compliant? What's the data security? And that was the thing that held us back the most, because we have to tick so many boxes in any piece of data that we hold, and we were able to really quickly kind of satisfy the requirements that we had, and we have our own version of our own Morty within our kind of our own server, I suppose. So we're not technically taking anything off site. It's very much dealt with in house, and the guidelines. I suppose a slight different take on it is that the guidelines change sometimes as well, and so what we needed was a system that was nimble enough that if our guidelines changed and we suddenly had to bring in we suddenly had to ask people for a copy of their birth certificate as standard. We needed to know that we could move quickly, and that that was something that we can do as well. So regulation for us is before that comes before everything. We have to be compliant. We have to be GDPR compliant. We have to meet our regulatory requirements and obligations. And any conversation that we had with any supplier before we met the Astera team was based in, can we meet those? If we can, let's carry on. And we most certainly did.
So I hope that answers the question. We're getting a couple of more here, guys. Mike here is asking if there is a reporting feature that helps track errors or failed processes over time.
Yes, there is, and I think that was one of the things that I missed in the demonstration. But previously, what we were doing, or with Kelly's team, and this is what we learned from her, that there's a lot of tracking that we need to do, and the analytics includes not only the analytics of that internal application, but also the process analytics, right? So, and by internal application, I mean the DTI ratios, the documentation that is missing, what stage of the process that they're in, whether the application needs to be approved automatically, or they're under review, or it has been denied, or more documentation, as Kelly mentioned, is required. So what we were initially doing is that we were writing all of this information into a database. There was no way to visualize that directly into our system, but now with DocSpire, that is a possibility. We have like an entire dedicated analytics section that does that. So it's able to track every applicant. It's able to track the volume of the applications that you received previously versus today. You can set the frequency, whether you want to see it on monthly basis, weekly basis, or yearly basis, and so on and so forth. So yes, a very comprehensive analytics along with tracking each and every applicant. That's part of the process now.
Awesome. There's another one about the system handling handwritten files. Can we do that, Aisha?
Yes, but again, there is some level of even with handwriting, we need a certain level of picture quality or image quality. So you can, of course, write however you want in any language, in fact. But when you're taking a picture of that or when you're scanning that, there are certain thresholds that we expect. If those thresholds are not met, another thing that we have implemented is that we improve or enhance the quality of that image. So there are models at the back end that actually first analyze the image quality and then try to improve that quality and see if to improve the quality in order to read text from it. So just enhance the text a bit. So that's what we do.
Awesome. There are a couple of more questions. One being that what happens if the system fails to extract a certain field correctly? Is there a way to review or correct those quickly while the process is going forward?
Yeah, definitely. So while I was showing the demonstration, I think one thing that I mentioned was there's a section called document queue in which you'll see all the documents that have been processed, that were processed successfully, that were completed, or that are under review, or that failed, and you have a view result as well as review results option right next to it, and you can simply click on that, and you can edit the results as well. Or you can simply, accept or reject them as is.
Very nice. We actually have a lot of more questions coming in the chat, but we're also coming up on time. So I think it's time to move to our closing. What we can do is go back to each of these individuals personally, reach out and answer their questions.
Definitely.
All right. So first of all, let's go back to the part that you all have been waiting for, and let's announce today's winner of the £100 gift card. Okay, so the winner is Jordan Hamling. Congratulations, man, Jordan. Please check your email after the session, and we will send you the gift card. And thank you again, everyone, for completing the survey, following the form. Now, before we wrap up, there's a quick announcement that I want to make. So DocSpire, the product that we officially released today, will be officially released on the website very soon. And what we're doing is we're inviting firms and customers like yourself to get an early access. And what this means is you have the opportunity to work closely with our team, work closely with me, Aisha, and the team, and shape the rollout process, actually. So what you can do is you can explore, you can scan this QR code and fill out the form really quickly if you want to be a part of this process. And if you would like to see this automation right away, and what we'll do is we'll reach out to you to discuss your use case and explore this further with you. And you'll definitely work closely with our team to explore any specific challenges. And we'll show you how DocSpire can actually fit into your environment. All right, guys. So this was actually the announcement that I had to make. We're actually really coming up on time. So all right, everyone, on behalf of Aisha, Kelly, and myself, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure sharing insights with you, having a conversation with Kelly, Aisha. We hope this session really gave you a clearer view of where the industry is heading and how you can get ahead of the curve. We look forward to continuing the conversation with you and hopefully working with you soon. Take care, everyone.